Okay, we'll get into things. So thank you all for coming. We as in Gene Corey Wright and myself are hoping to get out of the next 45 minutes is to bring you keen beans up to speed with what the coaching framework is and why we want people like you who are really experienced orienteers and have done coaching before, why we want you to kind of lead the way. Oh, here we have another one. How we want you to lead the way on the ground, like you're kind of the front line, so to speak. And sure, Gene and I will be doing coaching, but there's obviously a trade-off where we're trying to support the places that need extra support, and we can't be there kind of doing stuff with these kind of bigger clubs that have a lot of experienced coaches and stuff. So yeah, that's you guys. You're the first crop to come through, and hopefully there'll be a lot more of these advanced coaches coming through behind you. So I will just bring up a presentation, unless there's anyone who suddenly found themselves at the wrong gig. Shout out. Oh, cool. You guys can see that. It seems to be working. Sweet. So the personnel that are kind of involved in this whole coaching thing, just because, of course, you guys are like the first point of call for getting help and stuff. It's Gene Corey Wright, Karen Woods, Michael Hoxford, and myself are the people to come to if you have any concerns pretty much from now on. And we, or mainly me really, as someone who is getting paid by ONZ to do this stuff, I can do things that even come and run the sessions for the clubs and stuff. So definitely reach out to me first if you've got any requirements or questions, and yeah, I can definitely help you guys out. We'll actually just jump to the website quickly. You guys see that? Cool. So yeah, this is the coaching framework webpage. I'm sure most of you have kind of seen this, and we're going to spend our time on this for coaches tab today, and the four different kinds of coaches are listed here. You're interested in the advanced coaches, and so the shows like the job. So if you kind of forget what you're supposed to be doing as an advanced coach, and that can be either you don't know what to do or you are getting overworked by your club, you can come back and kind of see what you should be doing. And if you're ending up getting too many of like the development coach jobs, we don't want to see you guys burn out. So just check what you guys are kind of doing here. Competencies is more for like upskilling. We want people to know like what's expected of people at different levels. And these are the techniques that we're expecting people to be able to coach. We're not going to be covering the techniques here. We know you guys can do the stuff. And the qualification, this is what we are kind of speed running with you guys, but it's important to know what the qualifications are, because you guys are going to be qualifying other people as we roll this out. I'm not going to be doing talks like this all the time. So to get you guys familiar with what's actually required for you, what boxes you need to get other people to tick before you bring them on as advanced coaches, and also as development coaches, just knowing what boxes you need to get them to tick. And when someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm interested in being a coach, what do I need to do? Send them here. So become intimately familiar with this webpage, and yeah, things should make a bit more sense. Is that cool?
That's cool, Jane. Can I throw something in there?
Yep, go for it.
Yeah, good. Jane's put a lot of time into this and taken a lot of consultative advice. So thanks, Jane, and well done. Fantastic. The crux under it is like a bit of a ladder system. So it's really important that you not only are coaching at red, but you know how to teach people to coach orange, yellow, white. And because you'll be coaching the new coaches, development coaches and foundation coaches, and crediting them as, yes, they're good enough to do that. So what Jane and I have tried to do is create a consistent system of language and skills, techniques that goes up a little ladder. And we want all of you to be on board with that. Yeah. So if you have any questions about it, throw them at us when there's question time. Thanks, Jane.
Cool. Yeah, that basically you covered these things fairly well, Jean. Yeah, we do want the main three goals that kind of, as I see it, that we want some easy to understand, some intuitive and transferable language around coaching. Not that there isn't already some aspects of that, but of course we believe we can improve it. And there's certainly club feedback from clubs who are finding the coaching itself intimidating. So there's good reasons for trying to make it easier for them, newer clubs, to get on board. We're also finding that coaches are getting like double handled, triple handled, and just kind of getting overworked. So we want to be able to have a system that can expand, as Jean was saying. And it's really important for these small clubs to be able to have something they can jump up to. A lot of people are enjoying having the website here now, where they can just jump straight on and copy some exercises, and that's, you know, there's a floor set for kind of the coaching standard, and some small clubs are really appreciating that. So this is kind of the latter thing that Jean was talking about. There's you can see you're the advanced coaches here, and one of your jobs is to lead coaching events. So that's training camps and coaching weekends and coaching days and stuff. But it's also another job of yours is to help the development of other coaches. So you're supporting development coaches, and you're also supporting foundation coaches, and the development coaches are in turn also supporting foundation coaches. And so we've presented this as a bit of a step, but we don't want you to think about any kind of hierarchy here. This is not like a level up system where you start as a foundation and start as a development and then you move to advanced. Some people just want to be a foundation coach, and they're really good at that because their jobs are different to what you're doing as an advanced coach. And some people are going to be great advanced coaches, but they're not the kind of person who wants to do the like foundation jobs. So that's cool. You can bring in anyone straight into it, wherever they feel that their level is best. Some people might prefer to step up as they get more experienced. And you'll notice the elite coach thing kind of stands aside from all of this. They're not necessarily helping out with coach stuff. I mean, club stuff, sorry. They are a resource for ONZ to draw upon. And if you are interested in being an elite coach, then you'll see stuff come out next year, and there might be some people here who are interested, but it is a very different job. And some people may be quite active advanced coaches and active elite coaches, but that's not part of the progression within like a club centric role. Cool. Okay, let's get into some of the things that we want to learn today. So your jobs, this is the kind of stuff we would love you guys to do over the coming years. Lead training days and training camps. So who's already done that in the past? Probably most of you. Yeah, you've probably done some stuff like, yeah, training weekends or training days, yeah, on local maps. Maybe even some of you have done camps, regional camps or junior camps or club, intro camps and stuff like that. So that's the stuff you guys should be focusing on. And we think you guys can do a great job. Coaching red level orienteers is obviously a big thing with the advanced coach. If you guys are spending all your time doing white and yellow, then you're going to find yourself fairly strung out. So we, focus on the red for you guys to the extent that it makes sense with whatever your club is finding. You know, maybe some clubs just have a huge lot of row gainers wanting to do orange. That's cool. You'll probably help out more there, I guess. But the development and advanced coaches are not doing red, so it's up to you. And yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Help out with the other ones where you need to be. So, you know, if your club just has a whole lot of school kids come in, get stuck in to the extent that it makes sense to. Don't go hands off and say, no, I only deal with hardcore people. So this is the first of our concepts that I think, at least in the way that I've done coaching in the past, was not something we really focused on, not something I was like opposed to, but it's certainly, I think this framework is now that I've been more familiar with it, is really helping me to kind of simplify both the presentation of orienteering training and also what the orienteers kind of experience. So techniques first and exercises second. So when you think of orienteering, there's all these techniques that, you know, we talk about on a regular basis, like using attack points and compass bearings and simplifying the map. But when it comes time to training, you have to create exercises for people. And often we say, hey guys, we're going to do like a whiteout training with like big blobs of white on the map. And we're trying to reverse that. We're trying to say, no, you say what we're doing, like a compass bearing training. And then everyone gets on board with compass bearings. Okay, I know why compass bearings are useful. Yeah, let's do compass bearings. How do we practice compass bearings? That comes second. So what the exercise, what you've done on OCAD or Condes kind of comes second when you're pitching the coaching stuff. We want you to lead with the technique. Hey, today guys, we're doing compass bearings. So the exercises that you've devised comes second, once the trainee understands what the focus and the objective is. You'll often hear many coaches like kind of ask this of their athletes, like, what is the goal of the session, over and over again? Not just, we're going for a long run. So we're going for a long run. No, what is the goal of the session? So take that approach, and but don't take it too seriously, like 80-20 approach to pretty much all of this. When you're trying to explain what they're doing, some people just are not quite, there yet. And so saying, hey, we're going to do compass bearings, and most of the group get that. And there's a few people who are like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. That's cool, right? We don't have to do like a lecture to make sure that we could all pass an exam before people go out into the forest to do the exercise. How's that sound? Anything, Jean?
Yeah, no, that's good. It's definitely about teaching them the skills and techniques, and what Jean's done on the website's got lists of them for each level, and there are overlaps, and they're not in a definitive. The order can change, but ultimately we've talked long and hard about this, haven't we, Jean? And also with Kieran and Michael, and got that order to go to the white one, so they see a sort of example for a beginner. They want to learn basic symbols, map to ground, thumbing map, handrails, and that sort of stuff. And then the yellow one gets a bit harder, and so on. So those are the techniques that we want every coach, whatever level they're at coaching, and probably not the foundation ones wouldn't be bothered with the red techniques, but for the development coach and the advanced coach to know that list and to know how to explain each one to a learner in 3 different ways, because learners take it in different ways or more ways, and then to make up an exercise which practices that. Yeah, that's pretty much what's on the website there. So that's it, Jane. Yeah, well explained. That's good.
So if you jump onto the Coaching Framework website, you'll be able to see that under each technique, there's a description of what the kind of technique is. If you want to copy and paste that stuff, go for it. Just know that the top bit is pretty much the technique as we just described in that previous slide. And the second part here is an exercise. So you'll notice that there's one technique with multiple exercises under the technique. So first you're pitching what is the technique to the athlete, and then to the orienteer, and then and today we're going to focus on this technique with this exercise, and then you give out the maps. cool. So that's oh yeah, cool. We just went through that. Yeah, and as you see on the website, one technique has multiple exercises under it. So some of us were kind of used to thinking about all these exercises and like all of the things that these exercises could test. And I would often present a training, hey, we're going to do this line course and it's going to test all of these different techniques. It's going to test your like fine detail reading and your like compass bearing, changing your compass bearing all the time. And it's too hard for an orienteer to learn that way. You can't practice 4 tasks, especially if they're kind of new or skills that they haven't practiced much before. They can't practice all these 4 things in advance and actually do any of them well enough to improve them. They end up just practicing like some haphazard combination of them all. So we really want you to just be focusing on one technique at a time. Each exercise, there's lots of exercises to choose from, and I'm sure you're aware that in reality you can't do an exercise with only one technique. That would be like compass bearing with like no map, just control circles, like only compass today. It doesn't work. You know that there are multiple techniques, but we're just going to simplify things, and we're going to say we're going to emphasize compass bearings in this exercise. And if someone's getting distracted by the handrails, sure, okay, hey, what would be a good handrail? But today we're going to focus on compass bearings. So just it's clarifying the communication, really. We take it for granted how tricky orienteering is sometimes when we explain it. It's very tricky for newcomers. So making it clear goes a long way, and just focusing on one thing is a great way to make it clear. So this is kind of the other side of the coin. But when we are training compass bearings, for example, you can use multiple exercises to practice compass bearings, and maybe you want to make it a theme for the weekend, and you come at compass bearings different ways. And it's quite good to get this diversity of exercises, because then different people connect and click better with different approaches. And it's like trying to learn an instrument. If you like do it only the same drill and technique practice the whole time, you don't really like round off your actual understanding of the techniques. So different exercises, but all pitching them with a focus, and you can get creative. Like, we know you guys are skilled enough. If you need more help with like the computer stuff, we're keen to do some tutorials and stuff on that can help you guys get more creative. But I know, just focus on what the goal of the exercise is, and just make sure that's really clear if you are choosing to be creative. And more of what I was saying, we are quite good at orienteering generally. Like, the spectrum is very long, and I think we often forget that when we've been involved in orienteering for a long time, just how far we've all come. And so one thing you need to, I think, do, especially if you love the technicalities like I do, there's always a time in place for getting super nerdy on techniques, but generally coaching people who are developing is not that time and place. So big words don't really impress people maybe as much as some of us would like to think, and it's actually more valuable to make explanations really accessible. Use words they understand. We have a lot of orienteering lingo, and it can be really helpful to push some of that aside consciously and just make the concepts that you're presenting really accessible to newcomers, especially as we see adventure racers and road gainers trickling into the sport. It's a bit of a barrier when we come at them with all this lingo. They probably understand the concepts already. We're just making them learn, an extra language for the sake of it at some point. So make things accessible, and keep room for creativity without introducing too much new language, new words, new phrases. Jean, anything to add?
Yeah. So again, those technical terms are on the website, aren't they, Jean? They're the headings of those techniques. So we've all heard of handrails, you've all heard of stepping stones, but when I first came here, there was a lot of multiple different words used for the same concept, and that's sort of built up over the years. So these are the ones that 4 of us have come to being the most frequent and most easy to understand. And you'll notice we've done simple handrails, and then for the next level, we've done a harder level of handrails and advanced handrails, because actually linking some lines together makes a handrail, or you can use the edge of some vegetation, which you wouldn't do with a white course. So yeah, they overlap a little bit within those, but that's the language we'd really like everyone to learn, and for you to be using that when you're teaching the development and foundation coaches. That's really cool. Thanks, Jane.
So I'm sure you've all done coaching where you've brought in some newcomers before. Most of us have been orienteering long enough that we've coached. Maybe even some of you have coached your own kids in some meaning of the word, where you've had people come through and you've had to explain things for the first time. And especially with the younger ones, or people who are maybe haven't done anything with, like, mental mapping and stuff like contour visualization, it can take a long time for people to get the concepts in their own mental model in a way that works for them. So one thing that I think we need to all improve on is, just working on the fly to find ways of explaining things that work for lots of people, but not at the same time, like, always trying to get not perfection out of them, but trying to get success out of every person in the group that you're coaching. So we want to push this 80-20 approach, where you're not going slow just because two people out of your group of 10 are just getting the concepts misconstrued all the time. You can't slow the whole group down from them. So if someone is struggling, then you need to come out with different ways of describing these techniques. So we've got an advised way of describing it on the website, but if you've maybe printed that off and you're using that and that's just not landing, then this is like the true measure of, I think, quite a good coach, when they can figure out a way of framing and wording the challenge that works for someone and can keep the whole group moving at once. You can't like bog down the whole session, because inevitably you'll get someone who just does not get contours, and it's going to take them time, and you just need to be patient with them. So I had a little example that this is one that actually happened to me recently. I'll just run through it quickly just to show you, because I know maybe that explanation didn't land with everyone. So I had someone we were just doing some like basic compass stuff for yellow, but it was the first time that they were doing compass stuff in a forest. And there was one of the kids was just like, all the kids are like lined up in one direction. It's like pretty obvious, like that there's this consensus that it's this direction. And there's this one kid who's just like 45 to 90 degrees off, and everything's twisted. And you've got to say, okay, guys, yep, have a crack. I can't just tell you you're wrong on the offset. They've got to realize that it's not working for them a little bit. So it was good to give them some leeway. But second time around, they just hadn't connected that everyone else had got it and they hadn't. And so they were like, yeah, I can do it. That's fine. And then obviously they couldn't do it next time. And so I'm kind of stuck in this position of like, how much time do I spend on this particular individual who wasn't really getting it and didn't realize that they didn't get it. And third time around, I'm helping them with the map and just trying to see what they're doing with their hands. So if you see they haven't got your explanation, then you've kind of got to go a little bit deeper and maybe break the exercise down a little bit. So I said, hey, on this leg, all we're going to do is keep the compass lined with the magnetic north lines the whole time. And just like basically walk them from one control to the other. And they didn't actually really do a bearing, to be honest. I did the bearing for them, but the goal was just to keep the compass and the north line together. Like they could have been anywhere, but it's actually a component of actually holding the bearing, is just being able to realize that the compass and the north line have to be friends the whole time. And so we broke things down and built some pieces, and we never got there. We only had like 10 legs to do, and we never got there by the end. But I think I might have laid some seeds that they can remember the next time they come around for doing that. And I don't know how long it would have taken to get them. It just might not have happened yet. They're just not there. And hey, I was like 12 before I could do like yellow courses. And I think like 12 don't even do, like, they're already like probably doing orange by now. Like I was rookie as by the standards of the kids coming through now. And I just went up when the time was right. It wasn't, my brain just wasn't there yet. And so it's, you've got to be very flexible with where these kids are at. So yeah, I think there's always something to learn as well, and just having feedback on how you work each time. You'll just reflect on how good your coaching experience was and kind of what you could have been improved. So cool. So that wraps up that section, which is kind of our coaching tips. Not coaching you how to teach orienteering, but coaching you on how to really hold yourself in some of these social situations, really. And the second part of your job is to qualify other coaches. And I know some of you maybe didn't expect that to be part of the job, or are just super pumped about coaching and maybe less pumped about having to help out the rest of the club. As much as any of the volunteer stuff we do is a contribution to the club, I think you'll learn to appreciate that helping to develop the coaching group in your club is really important. And hopefully we can see this as necessary as having the sport ident people and the course setters and the controllers and stuff. If we can't like grow a culture of competent and quality coaching, then yeah, as far as the sport grows, it's just not going to quite reach the potential that we see in it. So yeah, the second part of your guys' job is to help other coaches become coaches, help other people in your club. And thinking back to what that means, that doesn't mean we're trying to make everyone good quality red coaches. There's lots of things that the coaches can do, and think of it a bit like a pyramid. Like we don't actually need everyone to be elite orienteers, right? We actually need most people to be orienteering lovers, right? The orienteering for life who come and do like the bulk of what we need to keep this whole ship running. And same with coaching. There's a lot of stuff that we would love to see at events. We're trying to grow the sport and have newcomers come in. We're going to need like more foundation coaches than elite coaches. So we're trying to teach the skills and develop these development and foundation coaches as your club needs. There are some clubs out there that don't have advanced coaches in the foreseeable future. They're all about the foundation and development coaches because that's where their club's at. And yeah, so you're teaching development coaches how to qualify new foundation and development coaches also, because you can't be the sole upskiller and the sole qualifier of your club. Maybe you want to be, and that's cool. But there might come a time where you're not so keen. And before that time comes, you have to make sure that other people who you've brought in as advanced coaches are familiar with the website, like I've just shown you, and are familiar with some of these tips that I've given you as well. Otherwise, yeah, as we go through, we're again going to disperse into kind of different ways of doing things, and it's going to be kind of a bit of a job for us to bring it all back together. So hopefully these resources will be online, and I'll also be in touch as well to help supplement how you guys are going with upskilling other coaches, and I can also come in and do some coaching stuff as well. And you guys all filled out the form successfully. That's all that other people need to do. So you get them to the stage where they're ready to go. So you might remember we were on the website, and it showed the for a development coach here, the qualifications that the boxes they need to tick. before they become before they're ready. You just have to show them that and say, hey, these are what you need to do, and it's up to you to check that they can do that. We don't want to be like an authoritative body here, like stamping certificates and stuff. You guys love your clubs and you want them to have good coaches. So send them here, make sure that they're up to speed, and then just get them to apply. And we'll say congrats and give them a digital certificate. That's basically it. Jean?
Oh yeah, just a point of clarity. This is my question to you actually. Someone who's wanting to be a foundation, we're not expecting them particularly to be very skilled at planning exercises, but to be able to work more with beginners. Whereas the development person, we're looking at them being able to plan some technique sessions as well, aren't we? So that it's not just you having to plan all the courses. We're trying to give you a pyramid of people under you to support. So if you run a day, you could point to 3 people who are good enough for development and say, can you plan an exercise each and I'll just check it. Was that in our thinking, Jane? I'm just checking that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yes, this is a foundation coach here. In order to qualify a foundation coach, you just need to check that they can explain, they should say development coach or advanced coach, that they can explain the techniques for white and yellow, which you can find here. So as long as they can explain that stuff, that's that box ticked. And they've been assessed helping some other newcomers at an orienteering event, right? So you support them and they've got the confidence, they've done it a few times, and you say, yep, they've done it. And then we give them the seal of approval and stay in touch with them whenever we've got like new support or new resources coming available. And likewise with the development coach, they have to be able to explain the techniques of an orange, and that they have to have helped organize some training sessions, and they've been able to explain that they've been assessed helping 3 orange level orienteers, and they've been assessed qualifying a foundation coach. So doing that job that you initially did, now you've got them to do that job, and yeah, hopefully they're not left without the skills or without the confidence to continue helping the club without your like micromanagement, basically.
That's cool.
So that's pretty much it. We believe that you guys can do that. It's not, I don't think it's too hard, but there's definitely going to be questions. And this is the first time we've done something like this. And do you think we've designed it perfectly from a distance? Unlikely, right? There's going to be some things where there's some things that just don't really fit right with the clubs, and it's going to be flexible. We're going to be tweaking things where we need, and listening to the clubs as we go. So just to recap before we get into any questions, just remember why we're on board with this. It is a response to a lot of challenges that clubs are facing. They're having new people coming in and they're not really sure what to do with them all. And there's also a lot of different coaching stuff around without a kind of trusted resource or a place to go. And we want to convince the orienteering community that the ONZ coaching framework is a great place to go. And to the extent that you guys think it's not, why not? Basically, we can keep improving it and changing it and adding exercises. We've got a bunch of exercises on there at the moment. I've personally done many more training exercises than that at a red level, and it's just a matter of putting them all up there. So any tips to add stuff to the website helps everyone, really. It's also important for clubs that they can have a system and support from ONZ that really helps this last before. This is the first time we've done Orienteering NZ has done a coaching system like this. It's not the first time they've had a coaching qualification, but it's the first time they've possibly supported it in this manner. I'm not old enough to comment on that any more than that, but I'm aware that there have been some other coaching framework attempts, but I think this one is a little more focused on what people and what clubs at least are telling us they want. So techniques first, exercises second. That's a big point from us. If you think the other way around, like I have in the past, which is pitch an exercise that practices 4 techniques, let's try to simplify things and flip it around and just focus on one technique per exercise. But there are multiple techniques that practice one exercise. So don't be repetitive. If you are going to do a multiple day training camp, don't make every compass bearing exercise the same. Go into the website and get some fresh ideas about how to do compass bearing exercises with all sorts of whiteouts and cover ups and vague terrain and various things. And don't overcomplicate the exercises for newcomers. Keep it simple, keep it clear, keep it accessible. Don't use the word that the most people in the group will connect with. Not necessarily the most precise word from a technical perspective, but the wording that everyone, as many people as possible, will actually get a meaningful connection of neurons in their head, meaningful concepts formed. And be flexible with coaching people. This is the best practice, or like the default way of explaining things. It's not the one size fits all approach. It's just the best you can do. There's just variation amongst the people you'll be coaching, and not everyone's going to love the same explanation. So be flexible with your explanations. And if someone just doesn't get it, then it's just not time. They will, if they like orienteering, they'll come back around, and there'll be another chance to explain things. And orienteering is also not about like mastering every single technique at every level. We want people to just feel like they're getting some success, even if it's, with a half version of what a compass bearing is, and you just get them to the control and they feel like they kind of got there. That's great. They'll come back next time and maybe it'll click for them then. And qualify new coaches. This is the most unknown part for us, simply because we haven't got that far. We've had a year of consultation with building out the resource, but we haven't got you guys to do any upskilling of yourself. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. And you know what you have to do, and we'll be supporting you, and your clubs, the committees of your clubs are keen to see the coaching quality and the coaching competence go up. So if more people in your club are capable of running coaching sessions, then that's what your club wants to see, kind of more, the competencies and confidence more spread, not dependent on a few old timers. So that's all. That's all from me. Jean, welcome to add anything else, and happy to take your questions. As I said before, this is like the speed qualification. This is it. We're sending you off as advanced coaches with a big smiley face stamp from ONZ, and it's your guys' kind of job to continue upskilling people now. I've got a number of people who have applied who are not in this call because they didn't apply for advanced coaches. They actually were just like, cool, I want to be a development and foundation coaches. And so they're filling out the form already. And so I know there's people in clubs here who already have people waiting to be qualified. So yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's great, Jen. I think the difference from the previous one is that the coaching director seemed to qualify everyone, and that was a big job for that person, and there wasn't that filtering down through the club. Whereas the way this is working is we're recognizing people with a lot of skill, you people, and then you're filtering it down to the next level, who are also filtering it down to the next level. So hopefully that will be less work for people because it's spread, and it will attract more people in because everyone's got someone accessible in their club they can go to get help to become the next level of coach. That's our ultimate aim, I think, isn't it, June?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you'll also see, just jumping across here. So we have a new page on the website that you can get to from the coaching framework page. And it's just got a list of the coaches. So your club can see who they need to talk to. After this, I'll add you guys' names here. And then your club, a sense of recognition, but a sense of easy connection. Like the club actually knows who's doing what. And not just the club, but ONZ thinks that there's more to this whole orienteering thing than just clubs. We're seeing non-club entities start interacting with orienteering, whether it's event organizers or adventure racing coaches and stuff who are interacting with the kind of orienteering club and federation system. And so they can also check this out and see which club has the coaches and who they need to go to. So yeah, that's another little thing.
Jane, just quickly point out to people the self-teaching side of that diagram as well, because we've gone through what the coaches do. But if someone in your club wants to teach themselves or wants more than what they get, they do your exercise and they want more, you send them to the other side of that diagram. That's it, the participants.
Yep, that's right. So again, your ONZ.co.nz/coaching framework is your little Bible. This has got all the juicy stuff in here. So if someone's a newcomer and you're like, hey, there's no trainings planned for a little bit, come here, just like check out some of the stuff. Can you do the stuff on your last orienteering map? Yeah, and if you're a keen bean wanting to do your own solo training, jump on here, and I've got all these like 4-minute videos on how to set all this stuff, how to actually set this good quality red training. Not just like I put controls far from trails on things, but actually if you're really trying to focus on traffic lighting, how to set a really good exercise that like really hones in on the techniques required there. Any other questions or thoughts or ideas?
I have my hand up, Jean, but
Hi, Jenny.
I think Cameron has his hand up too.
Oh yeah.
So when you said so the one I was going to say was when you said that there have been people contacting you, are you going to forward them on to us then, or because
I guess I should.
So if
they,
I mean, you might be assuming that they have also contacted us, and they might have, but they also might not have, because they might have just gone to the apply here and not sort of known how to necessarily get to their club. So
yeah, that's right.
Kind of handy if you could each time you got those sort of I don't know, you've got somebody I think registered for every club. So anyway, at least for us in Peppo, if you can let us know if there's people.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, because my assumption is that they would only come to the website to click apply if they have kind of done the qualification already. And so obviously, how can they have done them already? Because you guys are only the first batch. So yeah, obviously I have to make it a little more clear, because I don't want to have to, cross-reference everyone who's applying to actually check whether they've done it or not. But at the same time, I don't want to put a whole lot of people on the website as coaches who just click the button because it looked good.
Yeah, so
that's a good
probably
point. I'll take note of that and
forwarding them back to us, and then we can that'll be good. And I guess the other thing I always think when I'm leading trainings is to kind of emphasize that they're practicing, and the my brother's mantra that practice makes permanent, not necessarily perfect. So you need to practice perfectly to make perfect permanent, because I think because we just compete so much in orienteering, it's really hard to get people out of that just doing the same thing while they're training like it's a competition, whereas they've really got to realize that this is a training and they can go slower and make it everything perfect the way it should be as they do it. And I mean, especially with kids, because they turn everything into competition, they want to go around fast and they don't want to be the last one back, and that's embarrassing or whatever. So they kind of cut the corners, and then they lose that training opportunity because they just turned it into another club event where they've done exactly the same thing. And kind of, because often, and this is kind of really obvious in other sports, like, you know, with hockey, I know, which I do, you know, we clearly have practices and it's still, but, and I say to them, in a game, you might not be able to do it like this because you'll have a way that works for you at the moment, and the perfect way you can't do well enough to do in a game yet. And then I think that's kind of the same in orienteering. Sometimes, like especially white course runners, like the whole folding and everything, it's you try to get them to do it and you get them to do it in trainings, but when you see them out running, they just want to get around that course as fast as they can, and often it might at that stage be working better for them just to have the mat flapping around, and they'll get around the course well enough. But you say, okay, you know, that worked for you, and I know that this was a race and you didn't want to do it properly, but here is a training where you can take the time to do it properly and thumb and build up all those things so that eventually it will get so that that actually is just as fast for you and will work more reliably and better for you. And you know, I always use the example because lots of my hockey players, that they start off just sort of swiping the ball in any which way, and then they eventually learn that putting their hands together at the top of the stick and gives them the best hit. But they won't do that in the game immediately because they can't, but we'll do it in practices, and we'll do it in practice, and we'll do it properly in practice, and then eventually they'll do that in the game. And just, yeah, we have this problem that we hardly have any practices in orienteering, and then half the time when we do have a practice, they still treat it just like another competition. And so you really got to emphasize this is training, and now is the chance to do things properly, perfectly, and then practice will make perfect rather than just permanent.
Cool. I've added that into the presentation already. Thank you.
Oh yeah, my first question was the same as Jenny, just about the forwarding on the contact from anyone. My second question, I think you kind of covered it, but just confirming, like when it comes to actually qualifying, it's development's the one below, right? Yeah, those foundation development coaches. I noticed the criteria is, of course, that they have to, like, we have to like see them like going for the technique, not that they know the techniques, that kind of has to be verified or whatever. Yeah, that criteria there. Yeah, so when it says it has been assessed by an advanced coach, is there going to be some sort of process then where we have to confirm when they had applied? Does something get like fired out to?
Yeah, so I think,
or how does that work?
Yeah, so Jenny's question, the best answer I can give to Jenny's question and that question is, yep, I'll check with you guys. Okay. But I'm mindful that I don't want to have to cross-reference everyone. Maybe it is actually going to be quite easy. We'll see. So first off, I'll just double check with everyone, and I'll say, hey, I've just had these people come in, and I'll send an email to the advanced coaches from that club and just be like, which one of you guys did this person? Is that, you know, is this legit? If I am getting swamped and, you know, hunting down all the advanced coaches is too hard. Yeah, I don't know. In my head, I imagined I was going to get swamped, but now that I think about it second time round, it's probably quite easy to cross-reference with you guys. So if I do get swamped, I will look at a different system. But for now, to answer that question, I'll check. I'll check with the advanced coach of the club and just check that they have been cited and that you guys, you know, actually approved that they could, as opposed to they think they could and they applied anyway, even though you told them we'll try next time. Yeah.
Just an idea, Gene. I don't know if it is on that form. Maybe just a line that says like who approved you or something like that. If that's in there, which might make your life a little bit easier.
Oh, good idea. Yep, I'll add that. Yeah, it doesn't ask that. I'll just add that to the form. Who supervised you? And maybe there's multiple people, but more than likely you've got your friend in the club who's helping you out. So yeah, I'll just add that. Good point. Cool. That's great to get some like improvements out of this as well. It's always cool. It's always suspicious when no one's got any ideas for improvements.
Jean's got a hand up again, Jean. I don't know if it's.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's great, Jean. It will need that sort of verification system, and ultimately you'll just have a database, I'm reckoning, of names of advanced development and foundation coaches and clubs where they're from, maybe their email or something. so that you can quickly go to that and look up who's qualified you, so you don't have a mega sort of email search to do that each time. Just keep it as a database. That would be my suggestion anyway.
That form goes into a database.
Yeah.
Jean, I'd just like to say I think you've done a fantastic job of setting all this up.
Thank you.
Southland's just a small club. We have absolutely no coaching or training that we have been doing for many years. But and I've been very concerned about the fact we get a lot of people turning up for things, doing things, or wanting to go in things like the Spring Challenge and Spirited Women. And we often get 20 or 30 people turning up at an event with absolutely no idea what to do. And then we've got 4 or 5 club members trying to give them the very basic idea of how to orientate the map and what some of the symbols are on the map and what they should do to try and get around the course, and whether it's a conventional course or a something else. It's been rather difficult, and so I just jumped at the chance to get into this framework that you've got, so that I can start at least getting some foundation coaches, because most of our committee and people who have been in the club for 4 or 5 years are basically doing the foundation coaching work when we're trying to tell people what to do with the map when they turn up. But it would be great to get some framework around what they do and uniformity of what they're delivering, and with that bit of structure that you've given us. And I think it's going to be fantastic for them to know that they've got a bit better competency about what they're doing, but we can deliver to people and give everyone who turns up for the first time a much better experience as well, because quite a few of them have problems. And we deliberately send them on the easier courses, like white rather than orange, and yellow rather than red, so that they'll be successful the first few times and don't go wandering off and getting up to their eyeballs and things that they can't understand. And yeah, so this is going to be really good. I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks very much again.
Cool, that's amazing. Thank you.
Jane, just a quick point. Were we going to make a certificate? Because we thought people might like, especially youth and teenagers, to get their coaching certificate. So they'd get a little cardboard thing saying that they were a foundation coach or whatever. Are we working on that?
Yeah, I've got a digital certificate that I was going to email out as the thing comes in, just with like a smiley face and a few words, basically. But that's, again, open to feedback if you guys have good insight to how different members of your club would respond to different ideas. Then let me know, because we do want to feel like people are not only like opting into a community that acknowledges their, I guess, the competencies, but also a community that help each other to actually get jobs done. So any way that we can, facilitate and make it rewarding and engaging and motivating means a lot to us. So yeah, I've got a digital certificate. It's basically just an A4. Physical one, probably not wanting to post things out or find ways to get them through the club. Maybe we can, at the end of the year, batch a bunch up and give them to their clubs to give out at prize giving. Hey, there's an idea. At the stage, as far as we've got, is I've made an A4 page certificate online.
Jean, there may be an additional incentive with sort of highlighting the levels of qualification for school age kids in terms of sports service and that sort of access to it. So having an official certificate, I think, would be quite worthwhile. I can think of a few people who would, be interested in getting that sort of stamp. So I've got, I'm a foundation coach or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's actually a service to sport type of thing.
Do you think that sending them a digital certificate that they can do what they want with it achieves that goal, or is there something in addition that makes it more official?
If it had some sort of signature of the, you know, ONZ person.
Yeah, I guess that's
help.
me. So yeah, that's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. Better do some signing practice. It's pretty messy.
Yeah, just seconding that. Like, I think something that looks really good and is signed and it so looks professional and everything is really useful. And it's not just like, obviously that's one angle, the school kids, but like some of us are employed by schools as coaches, for example, and be able to go and give that. You know, I got asked when I got employed if I had a qualification. I didn't, but be able to give something like that, it's just another aspect we don't really think about, but it's actually really, it just makes things more professional.
Great ideas. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's good for the, like you say, the upper teenagers and even post school. This is saying they can put on early CVs, right? And we've got kids going through, you know, Duke of Ed, you know, which I mean, some of us here, no doubt, are signing off Duke of Ed forms at the end of every year. It's just a batch gone through now, right? You know, and this all flows into that kind of thing. And they do build up certificates, but as well as performance certificates, coaching or capability certificates, you know, are great for people who want to hold their jobs as well. You know, Kelly's sports and all these sorts of things. I think it's great. It builds out the circuit. And Gene, my thoughts on electronics one's fine if it's got some kind of electronic signature on it as well, and it's even more perfect. But you know, just electronics fine. You know, you can download it, print it, whatever you like. So that's really good. Cool. And I love the philosophy, by the way. Just like to say the presentation you've done tonight. I really like the philosophy of coaches supporting coaches and advanced coaches training other coaches up. I really thought you banged it on the head with one of your early points that, you know, you get people involved, they get skills, they get recognized, they get one job, they get another 99 jobs, they burn out, you know? So I think pointing back, you know, your job is to build coaches and to train for senior people, and those coaches' job is to build the other people is really important as well, right? So we build builders who build others.
Great, glad you're on board. Thanks.
No, really good philosophy.
Sorry, I'll just quickly say goodnight to everybody. I've got to go outside and do a job because I can see Jeff's got very dark. He's suddenly lit, whereas Paul's still got some light. So being halfway between the two, I think that I can quickly go outside and do it. But see you all later. Cheers, bye.
Yeah. Cool. Some great ideas coming in there. Just scribbling down some notes.
Oh, yeah, Jean, I put the wrong hand signal, but that's all right. I think what we want this group now to do is to also find other advanced coaches around you, because we don't know everyone who could be in this job. And especially Southland. Welcome, Southland. It's great to see you. You know, this whole country, the North Whangarei and everything. So if there's someone in your club who's a good orienteer and's done a fair bit of coaching and you reckon you could either get them into developmental very quickly or you'd want them as another advanced coach, let us know, because Jean, I'm ultimately thinking you're probably going to have an advanced coach Zoom once every 6 months or something. I don't know, just to keep in touch and to keep moderating things. So we don't want anyone to feel left out or to feel like they didn't invite me to that meeting. It's just that we don't know who you are. So please pass that on to all those other people. And let us know who they are, and we need to keep our messages going out to them.
And if you are talking to people who are asking, we're going to run another one of these in January. But if you can qualify them yourself before then, you know, qualifications are there. Beat me to it.
Yeah, I think what we'll ultimately lead to in those meetings is a bit of a moderation. So we might have discussions about how we've qualified our development people, and someone might have a question where they thought, well, this person didn't quite explain this how I would, and we can have a bit of a moderation chat. So that's our way of doing that without it being too formal. I think that works well, Jane. I think it's good.
Yep. Cool. Wow, if there's anything else, yeah, that's it. That's it for now. I'll get your names added to the website and touch up those certificates for you guys. And yeah, hopefully see some of you in the South Island if you're around. Otherwise, whatever's next in the season. See, we're onto some traffic lights now, so it's all should be a bit more inclusive for large events from now on.
First orienteering event in Auckland in months and months is 2 weeks away, I think. So yeah, exciting.
Yay!
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just doing a push for Papo. Jenny will know more than me, but yeah, we're inviting you all down for what would have been Oceania, but is still a series of events and a bit lower key. But yeah, come down in January.
Sweet. All right.
Whatever vaccine pass to get over the strait, though.
Cool. Okay. See you guys later.
Thanks, Jane and Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.